Hey, welcome back to the Confidad Podcast. My name is Dan Tinquist, your host. So glad to have you here with us today. We'll begin this episode like we do every single one with our fatherhood mindset. Say it out loud with me. I am the only one who can fulfill the father role I have, so I choose to do it well. I get to show up well for my kids. Imperfection is reality. Ownership is a choice. Today is brand new. So is tomorrow. I am wholly loved, so I will love wholly. In today's equipping section, we're going to dive deep into the final rule of life that I suggest you set up in your family system. It's not exhaustive, right? Like we talked about in the first episode on the rule of life, but this is a very essential one to grasp, to implement, and then to tweak as you live it out. The reality is that we need community. It takes a village, right? Building a family, it takes a village. We hear this said all the time. And yet I struggle to find strong villages all throughout our community, right? When you think about a village concept, you understand that there's the houses, right, where the village is, and then there's the places that we go to for specific services within the village. A post office, a dental shop, the doctor, the pharmacy, the school, the places of worship, all of those places of interest are included within the village. In my assessment of our current status quo is that we actually outsource almost everything in parenting out to those other places in the village. Those other places are there to supplement parenting, not replace it. We send our kids to church to be spiritually developed. We send them into sports to be developed physically and mental toughness and competition. And oftentimes we feel like every single opportunity is the right opportunity and we can't say no to any opportunity. We send them away for academics to a tutor to make sure that they're taken care of, they're academically strong and robust. And so the idea of outsourcing our job as parents, why is that happening? It happens, I think, because we're so focused on the American dream and on career success to say that if I ever take a break, if I ever hit pause, if I ever slow down, I'll never realize my dreams. And then my kids won't get to have everything that they need. But remember, when we flip that on its head, we understand and realize that our kids really need us more than they need stuff, right? They need our investment, our involvement in their lives to not just outsource everything to every other institution in our village. So we've maybe almost taken the village analogy too far and to say yeah, it takes a village. I'm just going to throw my kids to the village and let the village raise them. Now, there's nuance in this. There's balance in this. There's the understanding every kid's going to have different needs depending on what their skills are, what their strengths are. All right. So, and here's the other reality. Even if we've outsourced all of our parenting or a majority of it, the spiritual, academics, physical fitness, all these other things out to other people, a lot of parents that I talk to and that I see, they feel so isolated. They feel that they have to pretend to have it all together, especially when they go out to the sporting events or they go out to the music events, or they go to wherever where other parents are. It's put on a good face and pretend like we have it all together. That's not a genuine village. That's not a genuine network. That's everyone just masquerading around in inauthenticity. This is not interdependence. This is not strong community. This is fake community. This is the kind of community that says, well, if the American dream is what it says it is, and I'm going to have to make it, and just white knuckle and grin and bear it, the idea that pretending will ever help you realize the dreams you have for your family, the goals that you have for your family is ludicrous. We can never pretend our way into healthy community, into healthy bonds with our kids. And it starts at home. It starts with understanding, embracing, and living out interdependence. Like the very first podcast episode talked about, the case for interdependent parenting. Understanding that you don't have everything you need to show up for your kids fully. Neither does your spouse, neither does every kid in the family. No one has on their own what they need to show up. it requires interdependence. It requires understanding where your strengths are, which many of us probably could either name our strengths really well or name our weaknesses really well, but not many people without deep work can understand both of those things. So we got to do the deep work, which often happens in community or therapy or group counseling or deep relationship, okay? Doing the deep work of understanding your strengths and understanding your weaknesses really well and limiting as many blind spots as possible is an important step in living into and understanding interdependence, okay? Interdependence creates this culture and this system of it's okay to not be okay, but it's also okay to grow from that place. It's okay to want to grow, to work towards healthier, whole person dynamics within your home. It also creates an environment where everyone is contributing and everyone is benefiting. Maybe not equally, maybe not all the time, everyone's contributing equally. That's part of interdependence. Like, for example, after the birth of a child, the mother has just given everything of her body in the last 9+ months to birth this child. And now she's got to continue to feed, care, and do all of that for this child. So the contribution of the mother is way higher than anyone else is able to even get close to. And yet after the birth of the child and in the raising, it's time for dad to step up to the plate and start doing way more contributing, getting up in the middle of the night, doing feedings, doing changing, doing all the things that he needs to do to support and contribute. You see, there's this dance within interdependence to understand that like some seasons require more of us, some require less. Some seasons we need to ask for more help. Sometimes we need to step up and be stronger. And that is part of the process. One other very important key piece of interdependence is repair. Repair means you're able to say to your kids, when you mess up, I'm sorry. That probably hurt you really bad. Will you forgive me? Not even making it like something necessary. We always say to our kids, tell your brother you're sorry. Like, apology is never authentic when you're forced into it, especially when it's like from dad to kids, right? But like if a dad can model, I'm sorry I screwed up. Please forgive me. Let's keep moving forward together. In the repair, it becomes a safe place to have failure. It becomes a safe place not to have it all together. It becomes a safe place to take off your mask and be authentic. So as parents, we need to model this, but we also need to help train and teach our kids, what does interdependence look like? And then after interdependence, or while interdependence is being learned in the home, that's when we start to understand where are the things that we actually do need to outsource. I'll say this, from my experience working in the church for 15 years, we as a church in the West have primarily outsourced the role of discipleship of our kids to the church and to its programs, where the parents ought to be the primary disciplers of their children. This is not a failure of youth ministry. This is not a failure of parents. This is a failure of church leadership to equip parents with the tools that they need and the permission that they need to disciple their kids well. Reality is most parents are like, I don't know how to read the Bible. I'm not really sure I know what discipleship even means. What does growth and that spiritual world look like? How do you measure it? Because we have failed and we have put program in place of like equipping parents and just rested on really good program, which is essential. Don't get me wrong. I'm not bashing program. I'm just saying when program takes the place of parenting, we've got an issue. And so part of this is understanding, when do we outsource and when do we resource, right? Resourcing means I need something outside of myself to say, I need to be trained in this, I need to be taught in this, and I need to own this part of my parenting as I move forward into what I have to build into my kids. Outsourcing is like, I'll never be good at that, right? I outsource piano lessons to my kids because I can't play piano, right? Outsource the things that I can't teach them. Goalie practice, hitting camps, like the things that I can't teach them, of course we outsource it. But the things I'm supposed to teach them that I'm weak in, we ask for help. We resource that. We don't outsource that. Okay. So as we look to build the village, what it looks like is asking for help where it's needed, where it's necessary, not where it's just convenient. And we are so good and so quick to ask for help where it's convenient alone, right? And we feel all this pressure to say, I have to do this and that and the other thing, and opportunities are everything for my kid. Let me tell you, the more that you give opportunities to your kid and you don't just let them be a kid, the more they start to despise the activity that you are pushing, right? We're probably just being susceptible to really good advertising and marketing if we're spending hundreds and thousands of dollars on all these off-season programs and extra clinics and camps. I'm not saying we shouldn't do any of that, but I am saying that we need to discern where are we investing our money wisely and where are we investing our money willy-nilly just because we feel like if we say no to that opportunity, we're saying no to our kids, which future episode down the line here is when is it powerful to say no to your kids so you can say yes to the right things. We'll get there in a future episode. And as we talk about outsourcing, resourcing, we need to understand that becoming a safe haven for our kids, the safest place for them is home. We also have to resource other adults in their lives as they grow and get older to say, hey, mom and dad, or whatever your family situation is, we are the safest place. But here are a few other really safe adults that you can go to when you don't want to go to mom and dad. I like to call them the phenomenal five. For each of your kids, pick 5 phenomenal adults that you trust. Maybe their family, maybe their friends, maybe their coworkers or old college buddies or someone that you know has your back and your kid's back. And they will be a resource for your kid because they're aligned with your family values. They will support you and your kid when they have issues that they need to run to them for. And it'll be a really good way of building community and modeling community for your kids to say, it isn't just a parent's job to parent, it's the village's job, right? It's our primary role, but when we need help, when we need to outsource or resource, we look to those phenomenal 5 to say, who are the people in our kids' lives who we can add another bridge to, another connection to another adult that is safe, that's trusted, that's aligned with our vision for our family and our values. And they can be that person for our kids when we cannot be. Hate to say it, but we can't guarantee that we'll even be around tomorrow. So don't assume that mom and dad can be everything for your kids. When you build these phenomenal 5 into your kids' lives, it doesn't just create a safety net for when you're alive, but should you happen to pass away, you have people who already have beautiful, intentional connection with your kids who can help them navigate that loss and life when you're gone. The other piece of looking beyond our own family and into the village is understanding that the more that we develop relationships with community and with our neighbors, the better that this can become, right? Organic community coming together, helping each other where it's needed. Interdependent community, right? Understanding that life is lonely if it's not lived in community. We realized this when we moved back to our hometown after being in Arizona for 4 years. We had a fantastic community down there, had one kid that was born in Arizona. And then when we moved back here, we literally had nobody. A few family, which was good, but then friends and peers our age were really hard to come by. So we decided just to host a pizza night every Friday night and texted a few people that we thought were maybe kind of cool, we could connect with. We texted them, said, hey, show up to our house where we got a pile of pizzas, bring your kids and just show up, right? It was kind of scary. It was kind of awkward. It was a little bit of a bold move, but the idea was that we needed community, not just to survive, but to thrive in our lives. And we decided to do this. And yeah, there were a few people we invited that were yeah, we're not going to invite them back. Not because they're not cool, not because we didn't like them, but because there wasn't good connection. There wasn't good energy. And we realized that if we continue to invest in that relationship out of social obligation instead of future looking vision, we would waste energy in a relationship that we didn't feel was right. Okay, you have to use that. Not everyone's meant to be friends with everybody, but everyone's meant to have friends, right? Community is essential as we raise kids. If you feel lonely, if you feel lost, if you feel alone and deserted in your parenting, let me tell you, you're not alone in that feeling, but also you're not excused from solving that problem. It's on you. The onus is on you to build that community out however it fits within your family rhythm. One of the ways that you can do that is with our family culture framework, we talk about service and adventure. Those are great ways to build community around those types of things. You want to go do a service project, invite some friends or find some people from the baseball team or the hockey team or the basketball team to go do it with you. And in that process, you can start to build and connect with people who you wouldn't maybe already be connected with. Adventure. Maybe you want to go on a hike. Maybe you want to go explore some state park nearby your place. Invite some people to go with you on a day trip and say, hey, we're going to go and pack some sandwiches for lunch and bring our bikes. Do you want to go along? It's a great way to hit adventure in your family culture framework, but then also start to build community. Get creative, get bold, embrace the awkward, and go build the village that you need to raise these kids. There are plenty of resources for this type of connection to happen. Libraries, community events, farmers markets, all that kind of stuff. And I don't know about you, here in the upper Midwest, people are kind of weird. They'll get together and talk for hours about shallow stuff. But in order to go deep, it takes a lot of little connections from time to time to then finally sit down around a table, around a campfire or whatever and say, hey, let's talk about real life. And a lot of times it never even happens. But if you want to have a strong, robust, interdependent village, you got to go deep, at least sometimes. And not with everybody. I'm not saying you need to have everybody, but you have 3 or 5 people that you can be close with as the adults and the couples in your lives. And then for your family, in your kids' lives, those phenomenal 5 probably going to be a part of that small circle. You don't have to have tons of friends. It's not about numbers. It's about the quality of the relationships and understanding, can we continue investing in bridges outside of our family to say, value this community, we value these bridges, and this is the part of our family network that we are going to invest in. Another option for that, beyond like community events already happening, would be online. And I have a solution for that. We have an online group, have a circle group, and a master class that meets once a month. So there's online chatter happening throughout the month and then a master class that meets for an hour a month. And it's a bunch of dads who have come together to say, I care about being a good dad. I care about uncovering my blind spots. And I care about showing up well for my kids. It's a great place to build authentic community, to hold the things that are heavy with fatherhood with other men who are passionate about the same thing. Online communities are a fantastic place to find that and build that village. It's not a replacement for like sharing air and sharing space together, but it can be a good supplement in building the village out as you move towards building this vision of your family moving forward. So as you close today, I want to empower you. I said it earlier, but the onus is on you. It is your job to build this village. If you wait for someone else to do it, either it's going to get built and you're going to complain and not like it because it's not built by you. It's not something that you chose to invest in. It just kind of happened organically. You might end up in social situations where you're like, wow, I really wish I wasn't in a relationship with this person. Happens. So go build your village. Figure it out. Trial and error. Be bold. Embrace the awkward and do the things that are going to create the village your family needs to grow and flourish and become the dad that your kids need. You can't do it on your own. I promise you, you can't do it on your own. And so find some people to link arms with and be able to say, I'm doing this imperfectly, but I'm doing it. And I'm moving forward and becoming that dad that my kids need. So I hope you feel empowered today. I hope you feel that you have a little bit of fire under you to say, I can't just wait. I can't just let it happen. I have to take initiative. I have to be intentional. And I'm not saying you need to spend like hours a week with other people all the time. What I'm saying is build intentional rhythms and structures in your family where community becomes a part of that and you end up doing life together with your village so that you don't say it takes a village inauthentically, but you can actually say, yeah, it does take a village. And I love my village and they've helped me and I've helped them and I wouldn't have it any other way. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you in the next episode.